Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
It helps us get through the rough times. You know, they're very generous. We're grateful for it. Yeah. Because sometimes we don't have nothing at all.
We challenge every day as a newcomers, but with this opportunity, it's a great hope for us.
I was thinking there'd be documents in there that, you know, you might want to share with the town of Harrow and donate that, you know, any of the important papers that might lead back to that time.
Thanks for joining us. The sting of inflation is inescapable, and it's put affordability as a top issue for many in this provincial election. Tonight, we begin with two stories looking at two very different initiatives that are trying to help those most in need. We go first to a local bi-weekly walk-up food bank where our Jacob Barker found the lineup is growing ever longer.
The people in this lineup are mostly international students, wanting to learn and support themselves. But right now, many say work has been hard to come by.
There are no jobs in Windsor, so that's the main reason we are, we are just studying here and we are as a student and paying heavy expenses.
And to add to that, costs in general are on the rise. Inflation is way up, and that's making it harder every time you go to the grocery store.
Expenses have, they are touching the sky, so we are not able to afford the expenses. That is the main reason.
If we don't have that initiative, so it will be very tough. It will be very tough, yeah.
Some, even with part-time jobs, find it difficult to get by.
I'm here in Canada less than 1 year, but I feel the inflation here. Even in less than 1 year, I'm not sure it's because of COVID, it's because of the Russian and Ukraine war, I'm not sure, but I feel the inflation, yeah.
The bags are full of some staple items, things that can really help people keep a healthy diet.
So we have milk, eggs, meat, we have all kinds of stuff that we prep in the morning.
Now you'll see lineups like this one twice a week here in West Windsor and 3 times a week in East Windsor. And organizers tell me that since the cost of living has been going up so dramatically, lines like this have only been getting longer.
The numbers are for sure increased. I would say we have about 30 to 40% volume that we're helping, because now we added about 100 to our bags.
About 250 families a day, Ali Bazi says. Their costs, too, are going up.
The prices at the grocery store is not cheap anymore. Everything we see, we're buying stuff that's 20% more than a year ago.
And not all who come by are students. Bobby Baruta lives nearby.
Do you have enough to get by these days?
No, it's rough. It's very hard. It's very hard. We live by day.
He's been coming out for a year, and he's seen the lineup grow, and it's made things even harder. Sometimes they run out before he gets to the front.
Before it was more food and it was easier to get, but now it's hard to get because there's more people coming out.
On this day too, Baruta says after his long wait, they ran out of what he needed.
Just like I was saying, you wait in line and you get to the front and there's nothing left. Yeah.
Still, Baruta says he's thankful for the service and for those who donate so that he can have something to put on the table. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
Now let's turn to another show of support to a Windsor mom and her family. For them, a key to a new vehicle holds the key to a better life. The CBC's Mike Evans was there for the handover.
3, 2, 1. Hey!
I use it for my education because I be in the program in St. Clair College in social service worker, and for me it's good to have a good mobility for me and my family because it's 45 minutes from here to go to the school every day.
So before you had access to a vehicle, how did you get to school every day?
Sometimes I took the bus. Sometimes get rides for someone or taxi.
If not for the United Way and the generosity here, would it have been possible for you to be able to save up to buy a vehicle of your own?
No, I think it's very difficult because for be a student right now, it's not. I'm not be able to save money because all of my money is for my family, my needs. the school, the doctor appointments, and I don't have any saving enough, enough to get another car.
To be able to help someone just to get a good head start, and I know vehicles are really expensive to repair, so it's great to be able to give a working and a safe vehicle to a person in need, for sure.
And then to find out that somebody's going to be using this to better educate themselves, to get an education, and then to help their family go to medical appointments and whatnot. It's literally life-changing. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, being in education, we see the value and importance of education. It's great to be able to help someone out to want to better themselves, better their family out, and be able to provide their kids with just the necessity of transportation to and from appointments and sporting events and that sort of thing is great.
And that gift was organized by the United Way and the Leamington District High School. It was the school's auto shop class that helped fix it up. Two of Ontario's main party leaders have tested positive for COVID-19. It comes at a crucial time, just 2 weeks before Election Day. Now, both the NDP and Green Party are shifting their campaigns. Lorenda Redekop has the latest.
Nice to see you through this unfortunate situation, but it is what it is.
Not the photo op the NDP wanted. On the day Andrea Horvath was set to launch her tour of Northern Ontario. This morning, she announced on Twitter she tested positive.
Headache and sore throat. Not really bad, though. I've been taking Tylenol, and that kind of takes the fever down.
Last night, the Green Party leader announced he has COVID, saying a staff member had tested positive first.
I just want to say that I'm feeling fine, and that we're going to make the adjustments we need to continue building the momentum our campaign has right now.
This afternoon, his deputy leader filled in for him, supporting a rally by nurses.
Almost all of us have had this. We know what to do. You step up, you help each other, and we keep the job going.
All four main party leaders were close together, unmasked, for an hour and a half during the debate Monday night. Both Doug Ford and Stephen Del Duca say they've tested negative.
Because I'm a close contact of 2 confirmed cases now, I will continue to monitor myself for symptoms, and I will continue to test.
We're following all the protocols from Dr. Moore, and I encourage everyone across Ontario to continue following the protocols.
Ford's campaign spokesperson says he doesn't have symptoms, and it's been more than 48 hours, so he's not considered a close contact. One NDP strategist says the positive test is especially bad timing for the NDP.
The problem is that they've lost some support compared to the last election. So how do you transform that? How do you parlay that into a path to power is the key challenge for Horvath.
Another challenge, polls suggest Liberal support is growing as the two parties fight over who has the best chance to defeat Ford.
Mr. Ford, have you talked to a nurse lately?
For the Greens, it comes days after Mike Schreiner's well-received debate appearance.
It's kind of killing the little bit of momentum that he had, but the biggest impact of the campaign for him was by far the debate. It would have been way worse if he had caught COVID before it.
Even with their leaders in isolation, the NDP and the Green Party kept up with the politics. The NDP announced they'd cut the tolls for large trucks on Highway 407. The Greens said it was another example of the NDP following one of their policies. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
We are midway into the Ontario election campaign, and to take a look at what the polls are saying, we're joined by Eric Grenier. He is a poll analyst, a writer at the website The Writ, and he's CBC's poll tracker for this provincial election. So Eric, as we hit the midway point, we're also a few days past the final of two leaders' debates. What are you seeing in the polls right now?
Well, we're still seeing that Doug Ford and the PCs are leading in the polls. In our poll tracker, which combines all the surveys that are out there, we have the PCs at about 36% and the Liberals at 28% and the NDP at 23%. But we haven't really seen a lot of movement in this campaign. While the PCs might have dropped down a little bit in the recent days, they still hold a lead of about 8 points over the Liberals. They had a lead of 7 points over the NDP back at the end of the 2018 campaign, and they won a majority government. So you'd expect there'll be another majority government out of these numbers. But there's still some time for things to move around and for that majority to be put in doubt between now and June 2nd.
And what about local races? Are you seeing much movement?
Not too much. In southwestern Ontario, we have seen that the PCs continue to lead, which is largely, going to be in more of the rural areas, stretching all the way from Windsor up to Kitchener. But we have seen that their numbers have been coming down a little bit. The New Democrats are in second place in the southwest. The Liberals are in third, but not a lot of movement in the southwest, which is really replicated across the province. Things have been pretty steady.
The Progressive Conservatives have been keeping a low profile during this campaign, declining many interviews. When you look at other elections where parties have used that strategy before, how successful has that been?
Yeah, it is a front-runner strategy on the part of the PCs. They want to make sure nothing happens that could put their lead at risk. We've seen, for example, Stephen Harper and the federal Conservatives, they had that approach in federal campaigns, not too much exposure to the media, and it didn't really hurt Stephen Harper all that much for all those campaigns that he won. If we go back in history, though, the 1985 election is a good example. Frank Miller was a new premier. He came along and his handlers decided they were going to avoid the media, they were going to avoid a leaders' debate. But what happened was that David Peterson and the Liberals took advantage of that vacuum that was presented by the PC staying out of the spotlight, and the Liberals were able to end the 42-year dynasty of the PCs. So obviously it can backfire, but I'm not sure if we're seeing the same kind of thing happening in this campaign where Stephen Del Duca and Andrew Horwath and Mike Schreiner have been able to fill that vacuum that has been left by Doug Ford and the PCs, keeping a lower profile.
And Andrea Horwath and Mike Schreiner, they've tested positive for COVID and they're now sidelined with just 2 weeks of campaigning to go. What kind of impact could that have?
Yeah, the timing is awful. Hopefully, they'll be all right, and it won't be won't be something that will have a larger impact on their own personal lives. But in terms of the campaign itself, the timing is really awful because both the NDP and the Greens would have liked to use this last sprint to try to shore up their support in some of their ridings that they hope to make some gains. Mike Schreiner, for example, had a decent debate, might want to have had an opportunity to cash in on that. The fact that they won't be able to campaign as much is going to hurt them, and they really need these last 2 weeks because for the Greens, they're trying to get a second seat. For the NDP, they're trying to hold on to official opposition status, so this won't help at all.
And Eric, you've analyzed a lot of elections, and with 2 weeks left to go, what is the likelihood of a major upset?
I mean, it can always happen. 2011 campaign, Jack Layton and the New Democrats, they really surged ahead in the last 2 weeks of a campaign, so it can happen. We're not seeing really a lot of signs that something is bubbling under the surface at a big bandwagon effect. Any of the parties have some real momentum, but I said that the PCs have a lead of about 8 points. If the Liberals or the New Democrats are able to knock that down to 5 points, 4 points, that's not a huge shift in support, but it could have an impact between a PC majority and a minority government. And we've heard that Andrew Horwath, Stephen Del Duca, neither of them seem to want to prop up a PC Ford minority. So if that happens, well, who knows what happens after that.
Thanks for that, Eric. That is Eric Grenier. He is a poll analyst, a writer at the website The Writ, and he is running CBC's poll tracker for this election. It's time for another round of Voters Corner. Today we focus in on the shortage of personal support workers and the toll that it's taking. I spoke with a Windsor PSW who says it's a key election issue for her.
They've been trying to make a lot of different solutions, as in making PSW free at St. Clair College and making it a paid placement and things like that. But that's not actually the issue of PSW. If people want to go to school, they'll go to school. There's OSAP, there's ways. But the whole problem is that they're understaffed, underpaid, and nobody wants to go to work knowing that they're going to be understaffed. And I've worked in many different places where it's 3 PSWs for over 20 people. It's insane. What you need to do is raise the pay rates, first of all, and obviously if the pay is raised and they hire more staff and they schedule more staff, then more people will be okay with going to work.
And is there any party that you're seeing that's trying to address these issues? Are you seeing it in the platforms at all?
Well, I saw before, when COVID kind of started, I saw what Doug Ford was saying of wow, there's a real issue, and trying to say that he wanted to address it. I mean, one of the big things that he wanted to address was the fact that we don't have AC in nursing homes because the common excuse is that seniors are always cold. What about the workers who are also wearing an N95 mask, an entire gown, a face shield, plus a mask on top with no AC? It's insane because there's not enough funding and there's not enough PSWs. There's so many problems. But I know Doug Ford saw the issues. I've yet to see what he'll do about it.
And we want want to hear from you. What is your top election issue? You can visit cbc.ca/Windsor and scroll down to our features section and click on the Ontario Votes 2022 article. That is where you'll find this survey. A Harrow salvage company is looking to crack the case on an old safe found in a former antique store. It was literally discovered in a hole in a wall. And as Dale Molnar has already found out, the contents may shed some light on the family history of Canada's 21st Prime Minister.
All right, when we found the safe, it was open. And so we just opened it up, and we can't get the bottom open down there. There's a dial and some kind of a lever that's locked, but it looks pretty old.
Catherine and Mark Gagno's demolition company found the safe while tearing down the former Harrow antique store.
There was rumor before we started the demolition that there might have been a safe in the building. And as it happened, my machine operator, Tim Thornton, found the back of the safe after he tore one of the walls down. So we went around and there was another wall on the front of it. So we tore it all apart and exposed it and found it.
The name on the front reads T.B. Adams and Company. A document from the town of Essex states that he owned a general store at that location.
I think that finding anything like that is always very exciting.
T.B. Adams is the great-great-uncle of Sister Lise Jolie. Her grandfather was the brother of Nell Martin, the mother of Prime Minister Paul Martin. She says that means T.B. Adams was the brother of Paul Martin's maternal grandfather, therefore his great-uncle. Sister Lise says her mother remembers T.B. Adams, whose first name was Thomas.
T.B. Adams was very nervous, was always moving around, and he was a tall, thin man, and he was, I think, a pretty good businessman, and because he ran the store and he did a bunch of other things.
CBC has tried to reach Paul Martin for comment, but was told by his office he was overseas and could not be reached. The Gagnos have connected with a locksmith who will be trying to open the safe on Friday.
There's always a way to get in. It's just a matter of how we get in. Hoping for the easiest route first, which would be that the front door of it that's already open hopefully matches the inside door. So we'll decode the front door, see what it is, try that out on the inside door. Hopefully we get access to it.
Both the Gagnos and Lise Jolie hope to find some interesting documents inside that might add to Harrow's history and Paul Martin's family history.
Well, if it's more than just air, then it might, but who would have left anything in a safe that they wanted to keep in the family and then sell the building? So for all I get all excited about the idea of something like that, probably there's air.
CBC will be on hand Friday when the safe is open, so tune in again tomorrow when we hopefully reveal what's inside. Dale Molnar, CBC News, McGregor.
Very cool discovery there. Live look outside. We do have a chance of showers for tonight and tomorrow, but it's a low chance. It's only sitting at about 30%. Colette will be here right after the break to tell us more. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is here now for a look at our weather forecast. And Colette, today, big improvement from yesterday.
Yeah, huge improvement. So nice to see those temperatures kind of rising and things comfortable, but also more sunshine. And, you know, we get the benefit of that. The sun not setting till about 10 minutes to 9 o'clock. So there's still plenty of time after the news, of course, to enjoy some of the fine weather we're experiencing. The current temperature is 24, 20 for Chatham-Kent, a little cooler further east. In fact, over towards the nation's capital, we're talking some single digits in that region just because they've had the rain and the cloud cover. The better spot has been southwestern Ontario. I do want to show you the Humidex because it's not like it's oppressive or anything yet, but just that the dew points are starting to creep up a little bit, and we're going to see them coming up more tomorrow. So right now the dew point for Windsor is at 15. Well, tomorrow we'll see that get into the low 20s, and what that means is with the temperature heating up, plus that it's going to feel quite humid. I'll get to the details of that in just a moment. Showing you that wind flow, the direction is important here. Gusty at times, we'll find those wind gusts easing a little bit, but keeping a southerly flow through the overnight hours. Now, there is some development, or redevelopment, I should say, of some of these isolated showers or even thunderstorms. So they kind of died out over Lake Michigan, and now they're kind of popping up again. And I do want to show you what's happening here, because as we move forward into the evening, there is the possibility of really just one isolated cell kind of pushing through. So that chance, and then after that, we lose that risk, and we're into dry conditions and sunny conditions for Friday. Things will change a little bit Friday night, and then into Saturday morning we'll have some storms roll through with the risk of some severe weather. So lots to watch for the weekend, but not the entire day, because behind that line we get a clear spell, so we'll have some time to enjoy, and then more precipitation will come in. Tonight, a look at those very mild overnight temperatures. Again, with the dew points coming up, kind of holds some of the heat in. And there it is. I said I'd give you the details. So that's the temperature for tomorrow, but I want you to know that Humidex value up around 38 or 39. So the feels like temperature there. Still going to be somewhat muggy into Saturday. Temperature's still mild, but as those storms come through, they'll kind of maybe calm things down a little bit, but eventually we're going to see a new air mass move in, and so it becomes more comfortable into Sunday, Monday. Yes, I do. It's a holiday weekend, and we're still get some showers in the forecast Sunday. We should be drying out after that, and then later Sunday and Monday looking pretty good.
It definitely sounds like we're shifting towards that well-known Windsor summer, all that humidity,
right.
for sure.
Not taking the Humidex into the 40s yet, so we got time.
Not yet, but we're getting there. Okay.
We will.
Thanks for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, a case of mistaken feline identity. Stay with us. Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly is at the United Nations in New York. She's taking part in 2 days of meetings on the rising global food security crisis. The risk of famine has increased significantly since the Russian invasion of Ukraine cut off wheat exports from both countries. Joly says Canada wants to increase its exports and will also work to get Ukrainian wheat where it's needed to fight hunger.
What we're also looking at is logistical supports, from sending cargo ships to having food inspectors in Ukraine and in Europe to make sure that the entire supply chain is working, and that eventually countries around the Middle East or Africa are able to receive that wheat, and that we can stop this potential famine.
Joly says Canada's plan includes sending cargo ships to Romania and other European countries in an effort to circumvent the Russian blockade of Ukraine's ports. It's estimated there are about 20 million tons of wheat sitting in silos in Ukraine. Combined, Russia and Ukraine account for about a third of the world's wheat supply. The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall arrived in Yellowknife today for the final stop on their 3-day visit to Canada. Charles arrived to speak to First Nations chiefs and hear about Indigenous-led solutions to climate change. Camilla head to a school to learn about programs intended to preserve Indigenous languages. The royal couple is here as part of the commemorations for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years on the throne. Police sprang into action after receiving calls about a cougar roaming the streets of a Vancouver neighborhood yesterday. They sent out an alert ordering students at schools in the area to shelter in place. But turns out it was much ado about nothing. The unwelcomed visitor was not a predator. It was just a very large house cat. The feline is a savanna cat. It's the size of a medium dog and is a cross between a house cat and an African wildcat called a serval. Experts say savanna cats bred for pet owners are often 5 or 6 generations removed from their serval ancestors. BC conservation officers helped police return the cat to its owner. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for watching and have a great night.